Outside the Box Reviews Predator Week continues. Today we are looking at the NECA Predator Series 6, and this is the Scout Predator. This Predator is known in the lore that I've read at least as Lost or Lost Hunter, which makes things even more confusing because NECA gave that name to another figure in this line. I don't know what they were thinking with that one. I mean, I can understand changing the name, I guess, for certain reasons. Certain Predators, their name they normally go by is copywritten or something to that effect. But really, you're going to just switch out Lost for another Predator in the line? You couldn't just put Scout with that one and keep this one Lost? I don't get that at all. But anyway, what we end up with here is the P2 body with a P1 head sculpt. So what we have here is another total repaint. I can hear the collective moan coming from the group of people watching this right now. Not exactly what we want to see, another repaint in this line, not even a new head sculpt. But when it comes down to it, NECA is recreating the Lost Tribe from the movie, and this guy is in the movie. He's a background Predator in the movie, so he kinda had to exist for them to finish the line, and I knew he was coming at some point. But let's go ahead and take a closer look at what this repaint brings us. Like so many other Predators, he comes with his disc, his throwing disc. It's the same design we've had forever. It works okay. Just like with the Ram or the Warrior Predator, whatever you want to call him, it's basically just silver. No real detail on it. It has a little dark paint marks on the bottom, but I can't even tell if those are supposed to be there or if it's just a manufacturing error or something. So it's a little weird. It is still a nice disc, and I've skipped over it a lot lately just because I've seen it so many times, but there is some good detailing on it. I like the little handprint on it. I do wish at some point in this line we would have gotten one that was expanded out and maybe a special hand to hold that. That would have been really cool. I'm kind of disappointed we got nothing but this version, but still, it works, I guess. Scout does come with the hand to hold it, so you can actually peg it right there on his fingers. No problem whatsoever with that. And then, of course, he has his holster down here. That doesn't work quite so well, and it really is a pain to get it to stay in there. Hey, look, it's staying for 30 seconds. Let's see how long we can get through the review with it actually in there. I doubt it's going to be long. And as I reset my camera to do the sculpt here, it already fell out. So that shows about how long that will stay. If you pose it, you could probably get it to stick. But looking at the sculpt of this guy, it's what we've seen a billion times before. He's got the standard P2 armor up here. See the little pauldron up there. He's got his plasma caster and the slot in the back, which I do still really enjoy that you have the slot that you can move it along. It's a little stiff on mine. You can kind of wiggle it through that slot. And of course you have the rotation. You can rotate it around, and then the ball joint up at the top of the gun. You can just rotate that around right there. So you can get his plasma caster into place. There we go. Plasma caster is well detailed. I feel like a lot of these details I have skipped over in recent reviews of Predator 2 figures just because we've seen them all over and over. But there is such good detailing on this armor and on this sculpt. It does have to be appreciated. I love the little marks in here that bring out all different colors. You could actually redo this armor a billion times. I think the reason it looks okay at least is because there's all these little pits and grooves, so you can mix and match colors in there to give it different depth. I do love that there's a tie down here. You can see where you tie off the armor onto himself. I really love the back of this armor. I kind of wish it wasn't the back because I almost want to have a Predator displayed with his back turned just so you can see this stuff because it's really cool looking. It's got his little, I assume this is the med kit up here. It's got the pauldron up here, and then I actually looked the other day. There actually is a strap underneath that, which I assume there was, but it actually looks like it has some detailing on it, so that's really cool. Shoulder covers on each side. He has his wrist gauntlet, which also has some good little just detail work on it. Once again, little spike ridge down here. Top of the computer up here, which I assume would be the part that would flip open. In Predator 2, it flipped the opposite way, so it went this way, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. He has his wrist gauntlet on the other hand. the extendable blades, and one thing I love on Scout that I saw in the Comic-Con preview pictures that I loved from the beginning was the fact that he has blood on his blades. It's a nice upgrade since we are getting the same kind of figure again. It is a cool detail to add in there for us, so we're not feeling like we're getting exactly the same thing over again. Though the prototypes had a much brighter red on there, and this is very dull. But still, I do like it. We have his disc holder, his whole loincloth area. This part up here is actually hard sculpted in, so it's not a really movable piece. So I like that because it actually stays in the place it's supposed to be in. Another little loincloth, which is loose on the rear end here. Leg armor. He's got his knee pads, which is actually a little darker than the rest of his armor. And then his leg shin armor down here. Now, in the movie, all the Predators at the end were kind of hazed and missed up to about the knee. So I am a little disappointed that NECA didn't really take the opportunity to ever give us the net gun holster on any of the other Predators. We got it on the P2 and nobody else, and I kind of wish they would have thrown on another one just for some variety. Though somebody might know better than I do, maybe that should never be there. I could be wrong on that count. The body itself has some good detailing. I like the paint underneath. I think I remember seeing a prototype of this guy where they actually had kind of a greenish paint job underneath here, which I thought looked really cool. It was kind of like the same kind of tan color with some green stripes. It just kind of caught me as very striking. And they didn't go that route. This is kind of a more brighter version of the original Predator's paint scheme. But it's still good. I have some issues with the netting up here. It's very flesh tone up here, not really painted in as well, which is a bit of a disappointment. But overall, I think it does look pretty nice. I also like these Predator 2 figures, or at least the more recent Predator figures in general, have kind of had a glossy sheen to their body and made them look a little slimier, a little more reptilian, and I do like that. As I mentioned before, he has the one hand to hold disc, and the other hand open. Both have their gloves and their little extra claw here at the side, which is a nice little detail. I do like them having that. He's got his Predator feet down here, his big exposed feet, no sandals on this one. Same with all the Predator 2 figures. And of course we have the P1 Head Sculpt. Now I brought in the masked Predator 1 figure here. And I figured I'd take this opportunity just to quickly show off the height difference in these guys again, since I'm kind of recapping everything on this body for one of the last times. I figured I'd show again the height difference. It's not all that bad, really. If you have these guys posed in creative ways, you're not going to notice this height difference. It kind of depends up to you, I guess, how you like it. Unfortunately, I think the paint job we got on this new Scout Predator's helmet is a little lackluster compared to the original. The original here was a very shiny silver, and I really liked the metallic look of it. It had some nice burn marks and scrapes on it. It had the red dots painted on the head targeting laser up here. I just thought it was a really well done mask for the Predator 1. We bring in the Scout, and they gave it this dark, grimy paint, which I don't mind. It beefs it up a little bit. He also has the mesh eyes in here, which is different than the original mask, so it's cool that they brought over that new feature on here. But this paint job is just overall dirty. It's not specifically burned in any sections. It doesn't look as cool. It doesn't have as much character. And then they went and didn't paint the laser targeter. Really disappointing that we didn't get the detail work in there. I'm kind of bummed. But overall, I mean, it's a solid mask design. It's definitely the same sculpt with the exception of those eyes being the mesh. So overall, I like it. The dreads on here are a little more free-flowing than they were on the original Predator, as I can see. They do really kind of span out. All the Predators in this line have kind of had wonky dreads where they get really messed up in packaging. I haven't had this much trouble with the dreads out of packaging since the Predators figure, like the original Berserker and Tracker. Or Falconer, I mean. He has a little necklace down here, a little skull. Of course, the wrappings around his neck. Overall, it's okay. I mean, it's something we have already, so I can't get too excited about it, but it's not horrible. Scout's articulation is totally standard. He has the ball-jointed head, pin socket arms, with a good range of motion there. I think I just had a little bit of excess paint fall out of somewhere when I went to turn him. Bend and swivel at the elbow, ball-jointed wrist, ball-jointed waist, great range of motion at the legs, forward and back, out to the side, and rotate, even though it's a little stiff on that rotation. As always, have to mention the rubber butt not hindering articulation, double jointed knees, and a ball jointed foot. Now I may have said that the P1 isn't much different body-wise, at least height-wise, if you have these things posed, but Predator 2 line, I gotta say, you can get some awesome articulation out of these guys, and I have not yet gotten tired of finding new ways to pose these figures. Now that I've really looked at Scout in more detail, I think my favorite thing about him is his bloody claws, his bloody wrist blades. Which makes me feel I really wish they would have given him a fist for that hand. Maybe give him the disc hand for his left hand and made his right hand a fist. I know they already have that mold done. They just would have had to repaint it for this. And I think I really like that a lot better, just to have the bloody blades be more of a focal point. Right now he looks kind of stupid with the semi-open hand underneath those blades. As for whether I can recommend this figure or not, this may be a first for the Predator line. I'm not going to recommend him in any general sense. He's fine. He's with the rest of the line, I guess. If you're completing this line like I am, if you want the Lost Predators as a collection, yeah, you need him. But NECA has already announced they have plans to re-release the classic Predator on a new body. I can't tell you now if that's going to include the masked version or not. I've heard they're going to do an open mouth version, which they technically haven't done yet with the classic Predator, even though they did it with the classic Predator and the Predators line. This is so freaking confusing. They haven't done it with the Jungle Hunter yet. They've done it with the classic from Predators. So it's basically a rehash of an old Head Sculpt, but still something sort of new. But I'm assuming eventually they may get around to doing the classic P1 masked with the new body with the new articulation. So I can't even recommend this guy as you want a more articulated, slightly taller body with the P1 head, because I think we're going to get it eventually. And there's just not as many things to love about this guy. I love the bloody wrist blade on him, as I've said before. The detail on him is the same as all the other Predators. I did recommend the Ram earlier in this line, and he's got the same freaking body. He has some different things around his crotch, but that's about it. There's nothing enough special to make you really need this figure, and that's why I can't recommend him. Make sure you join us over at Outside the Box Reviews on Facebook. I'll put a link in the bottom bar. And until next time, it's been another Outside the Box review. Stay tuned for more Predator Week to come.